To Court Death, an episodic podcast. Written and directed by Leani Lopez. Starring Owen, Fogg, and Leani Lopez. Featuring music by Kevin MacLeod. Chapter 2.
I watched her pass out. Pondering what I had witnessed, I walked through the door without a second thought. Nurses and patients ignored me as I made my way to the waiting room. The boyfriend's voice could be heard in the distance, growing louder as I moved closer.
You have no right to keep me from her room!
Sir, we've already discussed this. It's hospital policy.
Screw policy!
Mr. Hill, lower your voice. This is a hospital.
Are you Dr. Avedon? I demand to—
Frankly, Mr. Hill, I could not give a damn what you demand. Right now, my priority is making sure Miss Shepard remains stabilized and on her way to recovery.
How do you expect me to calm down when no one is telling me what's going on?
You made it abundantly clear that you wanted to speak to me, so that's why I'm here. Her condition is touch and go for the moment. She's suffered extensive internal damage and there is a lot of bleeding. It will take a miracle for her to pull through.
I'm sorry. So sorry. Is there anything that can be done?
We are doing everything that we can, but it's up to fate. She's held on, though. She's a fighter. There's a chance she will pull through. We will let you know if anything changes. For now, you should go home.
I'm not going anywhere. I'll wait.
Fine. But if you're going to wait, you will not harass my colleagues. Am I clear? We have a job to do, so let us do it.
Her injuries. You said she had internal damage?
We'll know more about her injuries when the swelling has gone down and she's stable.
Not allowing Mr. Hill a chance to protest, the doctor led the nurse away, and I followed.
Whatever you do, don't let that man into her room without her permission. Understood?
Understood. Is there a specific reason? You're never usually this strict with that rule.
I'm concerned about some of her injuries. She has a broken wrist, but it's older than the crash and didn't look like it had been set before she got here. And there's evidence of bruising on her ribs not consistent with her other injury.
Do you think?
We don't think or assume anything. I just want to take precautions until I have a chance to talk to Ms. Shepard personally.
I looked down the hall where Cole stood, alone. He made his way to the hospital cafeteria to get himself a cup of coffee, and I followed him the entire way. I studied from a distance, trying to see what the doctor saw. I supposed from a casual observer, he looked everything the grieving boyfriend. I'd seen enough of them to know. He turned to find a place to sit, noticing the only other person in the room. A young woman sat alone, solemnly nursing her drink. Cole approached her.
Do you mind if I join you?
Oh, yeah, sure. I guess that's okay.
Sorry if I'm intruding. You just look like you can use some company.
It's okay. It's been a rough day.
Do you want to talk about it?
It's my dad. He's not doing so well.
Is he gonna be okay?
The doctors, they don't really know. It's just been me and him for so long.
I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, my friend and I were in an accident.
That's awful. Seems like we're both having a rough day.
Yeah, guess we are. This coffee is disgusting. I know a great coffee shop nearby. Do you want to get a better cup?
No, thank you. I really should get back to my dad.
Come on, it's only one cup of coffee. I could really use someone to talk to, and I'm sure you can too. We won't even be gone long.
No, I really should get back. It was nice meeting you.
Do you at least want my number? I don't mind listening if you need someone to talk to.
Look, I said no, and I really just want to be left alone, please.
Fine. You don't have to be a bitch about it. I was just trying to be nice.
I didn't see the point of sticking around any longer, so I went back home. In the white room, Morena was the only one sitting at the table when I arrived.
Hey, how'd it go?
Still didn't collect a soul. The human's condition keeps fluctuating. She's in the hospital now.
Doctors. They mean well, but they really do mess up the natural order of things sometimes. What's wrong?
Nothing. The situation is just a bit more complicated than I originally thought.
If you're saying that now, I'm worried. What's the problem?
There isn't a problem. I just don't like the fact that I tried to collect the human soul twice. And twice it was like she was pulled back.
Pulled back?
The human was on the brink of dying, and then she just didn't.
Well, that's not unusual. It's happened before.
Not to me.
You told Famika.
I lied to shut her up.
Well, there's a first time for everything, even for someone as old as you.
You don't even know how old I am.
Neither do you.
She left the room, and all I could think about was how right she was. I don't remember how old I am. I've been doing this job for so long, I've forgotten almost everything about my old life. Why dwell on something that's already past? I was pulled out of my musings as Lance walked in.
Some days are just better than others.
You get used to it.
For my sake, I hope you're wrong. I don't think I'll ever forget how John Poise looked when I told him he was dead. John Poise? That was the driver of the wreck, by the way?
A bottle of whiskey and 2 glasses appeared in the middle of the table. Lance grabbed all 3 and pulled them toward himself.
And before you say anything, I know I can't get drunk. I just like the ritual.
I know you do. And in response to your predicament, it makes things easier not referring to them by name.
What? You want me to call them human after? Like you do? That's weird.
It's what they are.
Yeah, and that's what we were. At some point, before all this.
But we're not now.
So? Is it so bad to yearn to be again? To want to go back to how things were before we just up and died?
It's not bad. It's just pointless.
Didn't you ever want to go back?
Not that I can recall.
Do you even remember what it was like, being human?
I haven't thought about that in a long time.
I think about it.
You're only torturing yourself.
Maybe. But you have your thing that helps you, and this is my thing.
Fair enough.
Did the girl finally pass?
No.
Really? Huh. That's weird.
She's in the hospital now. Her name is still on my list and hasn't been replaced. It's still going to happen.
Has there ever been an instance when the name disappeared completely from a list?
A few times, but not to me and not in many years. The name eventually showed up again, though.
Can't escape your fate then, huh?
No, you can't.
So what are you gonna do now? If her name is next, you're just gonna have to sit and wait.
Then that's what I'll do.
Why don't you go keep an eye on her? That way, you're right there when it happens.
Her name isn't read yet. What would be the point?
I don't know. I like to learn a little about them. Not everyone has someone who is going to mourn them when they are gone. In a strange way, I figure, if I can remember them, at least someone does.
And you do remember them.
Every single one. I'll see you later.
Lance downed his drink in one shot and rose from the table, patting me on the shoulder as he walked away. Alone, my mind wandered back to the hospital. Elisha Shepard's reaction to life and death had been strange, almost as if she had accepted it already, knew it was a possibility. She was asleep for real this time when I arrived, and she looked better than when I had visited previously. The sunflowers on the nightstand were drooping, letting me know how long time had passed in between visits. The bruising on her face had even faded into a yellow. I walked over to the bed and glanced down at her before looking at the dying sunflowers. Impulsively, I reached out to touch them. As they shriveled and died completely, Alicia's voice startled me.
Jesus Christ!
What? What's wrong?
Yeah, oh God, you scared the shit out of me. What is wrong with you? And here I was, starting to think you were a figment of my imagination. What are you doing here? How did you get past the nurses?
Your injuries are healing.
Fine. Don't answer my questions. Okay, clearly you're not a doctor. How do you know my injuries are healing?
I just do.
Are you... death?
I come to people when they die.
So is that a yes?
In a manner of speaking,
Grim Reaper?
yes.
Well, I doubt this is a social call. How much time do I have left?
It doesn't work that way.
You can't just tell how long people have before they kick the bucket? Yeah. That's what I thought. This isn't one of those weird things where you know and you can't tell me, is it?
I honestly don't know if I can tell you. This hasn't happened to me before.
If I had a fucking nickel. What is this exactly?
I have no idea.
Dude, you are not inspiring any confidence in the afterlife.
How are you feeling, Ms. Shepard?
Oh, you know, like I had a near-death experience.
How's your breathing doing?
It's fine. A little difficult at times.
Not surprising. Your lungs sound clearer. Your stitches look good. How's your wrist?
It's fine.
Are you going to finally tell me how you broke it?
Does that matter? So, I hear it was a little touch and go there for a bit.
I was confident you would pull through.
You were close to death twice. She said you needed a miracle.
That bad, huh?
There have been worse injuries in this hospital. We didn't even have to bring you into surgery.
Your lungs were filled with fluid and your head was bashed open.
I take it I'm not out of the woods if you're still checking on me.
It's too early to tell. There are many things that can go wrong, but your vitals are strong and there's no sign of infection. I'm confident you will make a full recovery.
You won't.
Fantastic.
There's still another matter we need to discuss. As you know, anything you choose to tell me stays between us.
Can we talk about it later?
Every time we try that, you dodge the questions or pretend to be sleeping. Ms. Shepard, I have the name of someone you can call to report—
I don't want to report anything.
Elisha, what he's doing to you—
This conversation is over.
You at least need to try solid food.
I'm not hungry.
Be that as it may, you need to keep your strength up. I'll have them bring you something light, okay?
But I'm not... Forget it, whatever.
Dr. Avedon sighed before taking a card out of her pocket. Silently, she slid it onto the bed as she stood, giving Elisha a pointed look before she took her leave, closing the door behind her. Alone once more, Elisha glanced at me and scowled, as if she dared me to make a comment about what I just witnessed.
Way to stand there super creepily. At least sit down if you're planning on waiting it out until I croak.
I don't need to sit. I'm fine.
No, you're making me uncomfortable.
Is this better?
The Grim Reaper is sitting next to me. Better is not the word I would use to describe this situation.
A, not the.
A Reaper? So there are more of you? How many?
3 others.
Am I going to meet the rest of the crew? You 4 are just going to rotate until one of you gets me?
No, your name is on my list, so only I'll collect you.
Why can I see you?
Because you're close to death. Typically, it doesn't last this long. However, considering the circumstances.
Lucky me. But you can't tell me how long, right?
I can tell when someone is going to die, but only when they are close to that line.
I have so many questions. I don't even know which one to ask next.
I've answered questions for you already. Maybe you can answer one for me.
Okay.
How did you break your wrist?
None of your damn business.
So it wasn't from the crash, then?
but clearly you knew that already. Listen, if you insist on being here, and insist on talking to me, none of this cryptic bullshit. Don't ask questions you already know the answer to.
I didn't know the answer. I just had an assumption based on what your doctor said, which you just confirmed.
Well, aren't you clever? Did you know before she did?
No. I heard her talking to the nurse after my last visit.
So you spied on the doctor.
I watched. I didn't spy.
Did they know you were watching?
Oh, well. No.
Yeah, see, that kind of sounds like spying.
Oh, I suppose if you look at it that way.
You just lurk around, spying on people until they die. That is really depressing.
You get used to it.
God, that makes it worse. You should never get used to something like that.
So I've been told.
How long have you been doing this?
A very, very long time.
Were you alive at some point, or?
Yes, I was.
How did you die?
I don't remember.
Oh. Sorry to be taking so long. No need to check your watch. It's in poor taste, you know.
I'm not checking my watch. I'm checking my list. It tells me who to collect next.
Can I see it?
No.
Look, Reaper.
Warren.
Fine. Warren, if you're not actually going to take my soul now, do you really have to hang around? Knowing I'm close to death is bad enough without you sitting there and waiting for me to just do it.
I don't have to be here. Actually, I don't do this sort of thing.
What, talk to people?
Exactly.
Well, don't I just keep hitting the jackpot?
Why didn't you want Mr. Hill to see you awake?
Don't worry about that.
I'm not worried. I'm curious.
Are you always this curious?
Do you frequently dodge questions?
Do you?
I feel like if we continue talking, we may just go in circles.
So, leave then. I'm sure I'll see you soon anyways. Are you going to be gone a few weeks, like you were the last time?
I don't know.
Apparently there's a lot you don't know.
Goodbye, Elisha Shepard.
Eli, it's fine. I hate going by Elisha. I blinked, and Warren was gone. I was alone now. Again. My eyes prickled, and my lip trembled. I buried my face in my hands, sobbing. The information overload was too much to handle, and yet I didn't question it. Somehow it made perfect sense. After all I had been through in my life, part of me knew I'd meet death someday. I took the business card out from under the blanket and wrote off the name of a battered women's shelter. Tears of anger and shame ran down my cheeks, and I crumpled up the card and threw it on the ground. Though it hurt, I rolled over onto my side, staring at the flowers on the table. They were finally dead now, and yet I couldn't bear to throw them away. I loved sunflowers, always had. I watched them for a while, as I allowed my mental and physical exhaustion to take over. But right before I drifted off to sleep, I swear I thought I saw the flowers slowly come back to life. This has been Chapter 2 of To Court Death, an episodic podcast. Written and directed by Leani Lopez. Starring Owen, Fogg, and Leani Lopez. Guest starring Connor MacDonald, Madalyn Sheehy, Alyssa Comeau, and Joshua Bonilla. Additional voices by Rosa and Monica MacDonald. featuring music by Kevin MacLeod.